We are so glad that you have enjoyed our weekly podcast of side quests. We hope that you continue to listen and enjoy the exciting world of the Land of Sojourn. Quote for the episode: The Land of Sojourn Events Guide. Monthly community days. Join fellow adventurers every month for special quests, increased drop rates, and unique rewards. These events typically feature themed activities, double XP, and exclusive cosmetic items. Perfect for both new players and veterans to come together and celebrate our amazing community. Regional events, 3 to 4 times annually. When these special events roll around, they replace our regular community days with region specific challenges and rewards. Each major region gets its own unique quest lines, boss encounters, and cultural items. Past events have included the Eastern Realm Festival, the Northern Lights Celebration, and the Desert Kingdom's Moonlight Market. Battle Royale events, biannual. Twice a year, prepare for the ultimate test of skill. Our massive Battle Royale events transform select zones into intense combat arenas where players compete for legendary rewards and permanent achievements. These hardcore events feature special rule sets, temporary faction warfare, and some of the most coveted prizes in the game. Mark your calendars and don't miss out on these amazing events. Each one offers unique opportunities to grow your character, meet new friends, and collect rare items. Land of Sojourn, game events, MMORPG, gaming. Episode 12, Part 2 of Dinner and a Tournament.
The blue portal closed behind Andrew and Kyle, and they found themselves in the familiar, large living room in the shared house. Andrew felt the warm crackle of a fireplace at his back and looked to find Sarah and Jessica talking with each other while Mike, Kai, and Daisuke were sitting on the largest of the 4 couches. Andrew didn't know the game dynamics would allow such a seamless transportation directly to their home. "Oh, I honestly didn't know portals could literally take us into our own home like that," said Andrew clearly in awe. "Oh yeah," said Kyle, "they can take you to your own very bed." Andrew nodded his head approvingly. Sarah and Jessica immediately jumped over, their eyes welling with tears as they rushed toward Andrew. They enveloped him in a tight hug, their shoulders shaking slightly with relief. "We were so worried," Sarah choked out, her voice muffled against his armor. Jessica nodded vigorously, adding, "When we saw the message, we were not in game. And when we got in, Kyle said you were okay. But now we were just been sitting fearing the worst. Don't you ever do that to us again," she finished in her rushed tone. The others gathered around, creating a group embrace that made Andrew's heart swell with gratitude. He could feel the genuine concern and love from his friends, making him realize just how much his absence had affected them. "I'm sorry," Andrew said softly, his own voice thick with emotion. "The mission was much more challenging than I expected, but I promise I'm okay now. I wouldn't have made it without thinking of all of you." He gently pulled back, giving them a reassuring smile. "And look," he added, trying to lighten the mood, "I brought back some incredible loot to share with everyone." The group's tension visibly eased, though their relief at having him back safely was still evident in their eyes. "I need to look at my room chest I have linked to my character," finished Andrew. Mike and Kai had been previously telling Jessica and Sarah the adventures he had had, embellishing the action and exciting them both with the fear of fighting a mysterious dark stranger. Just then, Tommy walked into the house, catching his friends in the middle of what seemed like an intense discussion. Their animated faces and gestures made him feel like he'd missed something important. "What's going on?" he asked, looking around at everyone. "Oh, we were just talking about the new regional dodgeball tournament coming up in a few weeks," Daisuke explained, gesturing to his phone, where the promo video had just finished playing. Sarah practically exploded from her seat, arms flailing like a hyperactive windmill. "Tommy, you missed everything!" she shouted, bouncing on her toes. "Andrew got attacked by the Dark Stranger in his first Adventure Guild mission today. And, oh my gosh, you should have seen it. He was all like, whoosh, trying to dodge. And then, boom. And then, get this, he almost died." She paused for a dramatic gasp of air. "Like, actually died, not just regular died. His health bar was this small. She held up her fingers, pinched together with barely a hair's width between them, eyes wide as saucers. And then, she continued, now practically dancing around the room, Andrew was all like, "Not today, evil dude," except he didn't actually say that because he was too busy trying not to die, but I bet he was thinking it. Okay, Tommy said, laughing, and holding up his hands in surrender at Sarah's theatrical retelling. "Sorry I wasn't online today. Had water polo varsity tryouts." He grabbed an empty chair and pulled it up to join the group, still chuckling at Sarah's performance. "Sounds like I missed quite a bit of excitement. Fill me in on the parts that aren't quite so dramatic." The rest of the group was trying to hide their smiles at Sarah's enthusiastic storytelling. She had a way of turning every event into an epic saga, complete with sound effects and interpretive dance moves. "Let's head up to my room, guys. Let's see what came my way," Andrew suggested, leading the group up the creaking wooden stairs to his bedroom. His spacious and sparsely decorated room, illuminated by both moonlight streaming through the bay window and the warm glow of several magical crystals, offered plenty of space for everyone to gather. Andrew knew the room was largely empty and quickly reported, "Yeah, I have not been able to make up my mind on how I want to decorate my room yet." Sarah and Jessica immediately claimed the cushioned window seat, while Mike, Kai, and Daisuke settled onto the thick rug near Andrew's four-poster bed. Tommy, still trying to catch up with the day's events, leaned against the wall near the door. The comforting aroma of Kai's herbal tea, brought up from the kitchen, filled the room. Andrew sat cross-legged on the floor, his battle-worn blue armor catching the crystal light, revealing fresh scratches from the earlier fight. As he recounted the full story, his friends listened intently, their expressions shifting from shock to horror. "So there I was," Andrew continued, gesturing animatedly. "My sword literally exploded in my hands when I struck him. Then, my brand-new armor shattered from just one punch, left me practically defenseless. I am going to need to go to the Adventure Guild shop and have a firm talk with Midian. Oh, and Master Erickson." His voice grew serious. He almost died, the way the stranger just carved into him with his bare hands. Andrew shuddered at the memory. But the weirdest part? After I landed the killing blow, all his inventory transferred to me automatically. Kyle sat up straighter, his brow furrowed in thought. "That's not normal player behavior. When players die, their flames can sometimes be looted depending on your class type, but you don't get their full gear. But NPCs," he paused, eyes widening. "When NPCs die, their inventory automatically transfers to the killer or they are left on their body to be looted. This has to be some kind of rogue NPC, but I've never heard of one acting like this." The room fell silent as everyone processed the implications of Kyle's theory. Andrew, with a big grin on his face, began to speak. "Let's open up my loot." His companions leaned forward eagerly as he began unpacking some of the 43 legendary items from his chest, carefully laying some piece on the large wool blanket he'd spread out before them, each item more magnificent than the last. "Feels like Christmas," smirked Daisuke. Everyone smiled at his joke. Andrew reached into his inventory and pulled out what appeared to be a masterwork of ancient craftsmanship, a full set of obsidian knight's armor. The black plates seemed to absorb the crystal light around them, giving off an almost ethereal darkness. Though the armor bore significant battle damage, deep gouges across the breastplate, a cracked pauldron, and several missing obsidian scales from the chainmail beneath, its legendary status was unmistakable. "This is incredible," Andrew breathed, carefully turning over the helm in his hands. He selected Analyze, and the item description floated before his eyes. Legendary, Shadow Knight's obsidian plate, class restriction, Knight only, requires Master Blacksmith for repairs. Current durability, 71 out of 100. Stats, defense, plus 2,850. Strength, plus 1,125. Agility, plus 1,175. Dark damage resistance plus 75%. Intimidation plus 95. Shadow magic enhancement plus 65%. The set seemed to pulse with latent power, even in its compromised condition. Kyle's eyes widened as he leaned forward to examine the armor more closely. "Holy crap," he whispered. "This is dev armor. I've only seen this in the game's code archives. This set was never meant to be in the actual game." He sat back, running a hand through his hair in disbelief. The materials alone would cost over 10 million premium coins. That's like $100,000 in real money. Even damaged, this is probably the most valuable item in the game right now. The devs must have been testing it for a future raid boss or something. Mike frowned, his fingers tracing one of the deep gouges in the breastplate. How did the stranger get it? This shouldn't even exist in the game world. The question hung heavy in the air, adding another layer of mystery to their already complicated situation. Sarah's emerald eyes widened as Andrew presented her with the obsidian black armor set. The dark material seemed to absorb the light around it, creating an otherworldly effect. "This armor is perfect for you," Andrew explained. "It's completely impervious to damage from anyone below level 100. Sarah stood speechless for a moment, her hands trembling slightly as she touched the armor. Her usual bouncy energy transformed into something more tender and profound. "Andrew, she started, her voice thick with emotion. "You could have sold this or kept it for yourself, but you thought of me." Her eyes glistened in the crystal light as she looked up at him, genuine appreciation written across her face. "You're always protecting everyone else in the game," Andrew said softly. "It's about time someone protected you." Sarah suddenly threw her arms around Andrew in a tight hug, catching him off guard. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not just for the armor, but for being you, for being brave enough to fight that thing, for thinking of us even in the middle of all that chaos." She pulled back, wiping a happy tear from her cheek, trying to regain her usual playful demeanor. "Though I still can't believe you fought the dark stranger practically naked." Daisuke flopped backward onto the carpet, laughing while pointing at Sarah. "Oh man, when the devs see this, they're totally gonna be like, ban Hammer time. But plot twist, they're gonna ban Sarah instead of Andrew." He sat up, wiping tears of laughter from his eyes. "Imagine trying to explain that to the game masters. No, I swear, my friend fought this super scary dude while basically in his underwear, and that's how I got this ultra-rare armor. They're going to think you're making up the worst excuse ever." The room erupted in laughter, with Sarah playfully throwing a pillow at Daisuke's head. "Well then, I'll just have to make it worth getting banned for," she declared, with a dramatic pose. Kyle snapped his fingers, his eyes lighting up. "Wait, Sarah! You still have that Cloak of Alteration from the Summer Festival quest, right? We can use that to make the armor look like literally anything." He jumped up excitedly, already pulling up his crafting menu. "I've gotten pretty good at armor glamours. We could make it look like basic leather armor, or even that ridiculous chicken suit from the Farm Frenzy event. No one would ever suspect you're wearing endgame gear." "Oh my gosh, yes!" Sarah squealed, clapping her hands together. "Kyle, you're a genius. Can we make it look like that derpy potato sack armor from the Food Fight Festival? Nothing says totally not wearing overpowered gear like running around looking like a walking bag of potatoes." "Now that," Kyle grinned, "would be the perfect disguise. Who would ever suspect someone in potato sack armor to be wearing one of the most powerful gear sets in the game? But maybe something more practical like the Spring Night event?" Sarah nodded her head acceptingly. "Yeah, that would do much better." "You guys are too much," said Andrew. He reached into his inventory and retrieved a magnificent bow that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly purple glow. "Analyze," he whispered, activating his skill. The item's description materialized before him. Legendary. Alzad's Bow of Foresight. Class restriction. Dark Elf only. Durability 100 out of 100. A mystical bow forged from purple dark elvish steel, a moonlight blade, and ancient darkwood, crafted by the legendary dark elf bowyer Alzad during the Age of Twilight. The bow's limbs feature intricate elven runes that pulse with arcane energy, while the grip is wrapped in shadow, dragon leather. The most striking feature is the ethereal purple blade protruding from the bow's lower limb, capable of dealing melee damage in close combat situations. Special abilities. Farsight. Grants up to 25x zoom vision while aimed, 2 mana per second. Base damage, 750 to 850. Critical hit rate, plus 15%. Accuracy, plus 45. Agility, plus 25. Dark magic enhancement, plus 35%. This is incredible, Andrew breathed, running his fingers along the smooth purple steel. The bow hummed softly at his touch. The Farsight ability alone makes this invaluable for scouting and long-range combat, though the mana cost is significant. With my current mana pool, I could maintain the Farsight for about 3 minutes before needing to regenerate. I also still don't know how to use a bow and arrow in this game yet. Looking at Jessica, who had been eyeing the bow with barely concealed awe, Andrew smiled and held it out to her. Since I can't use it, I think this belongs to our resident dark elf archer. Jessica's eyes went wide as saucers. With a squeal that could have shattered glass, she launched herself at Andrew like a heat-seeking missile, wrapping her arms and legs around him in a koala bear hug that nearly knocked them both over. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she screamed, then grabbed his face with both hands. "I am going to kiss you once on the lips, and you're going to deal with it." "Wait, what?" Andrew managed before Jessica planted a massive and long kiss on the lips, and then jumped back, clutching the bow like a newborn baby. Kyle and Sarah were doubled over with laughter, while Mike muttered something about getting a room. Andrew stood there, red-faced and flustered, as Jessica did a victory dance around the room with her new weapon. Just try not to shoot me with it," Andrew finally managed, causing another round of laughter from the group. Kyle, who had been examining the bow's stats on his developer interface, suddenly went pale. "Holy? Andrew, do you have any idea what you just gave away? That bow is worth at least 50,000 premium coins. That's like $5,000 in real money." His face had turned an interesting shade of white as he slumped back in his chair. "You just casually handed over a small fortune like it was a common drop." Jessica froze mid-dance, her eyes growing even wider as she clutched the bow even tighter to her chest. "No take-backs," she declared firmly, causing everyone to burst into laughter again at her protective stance over her new treasure. The room fell silent as Andrew unsheathed the ethereal sword, its yellowish gold glow illuminating every corner of the cottage. The mythic weapon hummed with power, sending ripples of energy through the air that they could all feel, drawing gasps of amazement from his companions. "I think I'll be all right now," Andrew said with quiet confidence, raising the glowing blade. The weapon's light danced across his face before he stored it back in his inventory. His eyes gleamed as he reached for what he'd been anxious to show them next. "Let me tell you guys about something interesting. My sword has these unique properties. These 3 rubies aren't just decorative. They actually absorb mana, health, and stamina from any opponent I face. Similar to Thor's hammer from the myths, it's got this loyalty feature where I can call it back to my hand if anyone tries to take it. The only way someone else can possess it is if I willingly give it to them as a gift. But here's where it gets really interesting. I can use the stored energy in 3 different ways. First, I can reclaim it for myself. Imagine 3 streams of light flowing back into me, instantly restoring my health, stamina, and mana. Second, if I need to clear an area, I can trigger what's basically a massive explosion. It's wild, this tricolored blast that somehow leaves me completely unharmed while devastating everything else around me. And third, my personal favorite, I can channel all that energy into this concentrated beam. Picture a triple helix of red, amber, and blue energy that just, well, let's just say nothing really survives being hit by it. Kyle set everyone laughing with his quick commentary as if he was Morgan Freeman. Andrew, with his mythic weapon, was knocked naked and was not afraid. Kai and Mike made comments about them being jealous of the mythic weapon, sharing why the game did not give enough of these weapons. Andrew comments that these things looked like the coolest in all the inventory as a set of legendary gauntlets materialized in his hands, their ethereal blue glow pulsing like a heartbeat. The intricate eagle design seemed almost alive, with silver talons that flexed and shifted with each surge of energy. Sarah leaned in, her eyes wide with wonder. "Look at the stats," she muttered. "The knockback effect is incredible," she breathed, studying the craftsmanship. 50% health damage and a minute-long stun for anyone under level 100? That's going to revolutionize PvP battles. Andrew opened the analysis window, revealing the gauntlet's legendary status. The activation was elegantly simple. A mere clicking together of the gauntlets would unleash their power. What made them truly remarkable was their ability to harness kinetic energy from each attack, storing it until the wielder chose to release it in a devastating burst. As evening shadows lengthened, Andrew guided Sarah toward the cottage's bay window, where moonlight streamed through the glass panes. This armor set was what the stranger was wearing when he or it attacked, Andrew explained, his voice quiet but thrumming with excitement. While it needs some minor repairs, its potential is absolutely incredible. Our weapons literally shattered to pieces when we struck this armor. It was only when I had my mythic blade in my hand did my strikes hurt it. The conversation shifted to the dark stranger incident, with Kai recounting what he heard from those he met on how close they'd come to losing Master Erickson, if not for Andrew. If Andrew hadn't arrived when he did with that splash potion of healing... Kai's voice trailed off, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on everyone. He saved the Adventures Guild from losing its best trainer, finished Kai. Meanwhile, Andrew continued his explanation to Sarah about the armor. As a paladin, my fighting style is more focused on mobility and quick strikes, he admitted, a slight blush creeping across his face. But for a tank like you, Sarah, this armor could make you nearly invincible. The damage reduction scales with the user's defense stats, and well, Kyle tells me you're the best tank he has ever played alongside. The other party members pretended not to notice the private conversation, but Kai couldn't help hiding a knowing smile behind his spellbook. Jessica and Mike exchanged meaningful glances, while Daisuke suddenly became very interested in polishing his katana. The armor just needs to be repaired by a master blacksmith, Andrew explained, his voice carrying a hint of nervousness. Each of those marks on the armor is where I struck it. Sarah was about to speak when Andrew quietly said, "I want you to have it because I know you'll put it to better use than anyone else could." Sarah stood speechless, her fingers tracing the armor's damaged but still beautiful surface. The meaning behind the gift wasn't lost on her. In Sojourn, giving another player such a powerful item was a significant gesture. Mike's deep voice broke through the moment as he examined the remaining items. "These will give us a significant advantage in the upcoming events," he noted. The rest of the party continued their activities, politely giving Andrew and Sarah their moment, though Mike could be heard whispering to Daisuke. About time he made a move, followed by a gentle elbow from Jessica to keep him quiet. "Andrew, Thank you," Sarah finally managed, her usually confident tank persona momentarily replaced by genuine emotion. Sarah continued, adjusting her current armor nervously. "We should definitely run some dungeons together to test it out." Her smile made Andrew's character avatar actually stumble slightly, causing Mike to chuckle from across the room. Tommy came up to them both and put his arms around their shoulders. "You guys are in luck as you have a master blacksmith in-house." Daisuke cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention away from the legendary items spread across the floor. About that dodgeball tournament I mentioned, I was not joking. There's something I should tell you about the prizes this year. He pulled out his phone, tapping the screen a few times. Here's the official promo video they released yesterday. He turned the screen toward the group, and a holographic display materialized in the air above the device. The group turned toward him with renewed interest as he pulled up the tournament details on his interface. The video showed intense highlights from last year's tournament, players diving, throwing, and using abilities in creative ways. The announcer's voice boomed, "Sojourn Regional Dodgeball Championship, where legends are made and glory awaits. This year's grand prize, $35,000, plus an exclusive invitation to the end-of-year Battle Royale. Don't miss your chance to make history." Wait! Jessica's eyes widened, her new obsidian armor catching the firelight. The regional tournament includes a Battle Royale invitation this year? That's right, Daisuke nodded, excitement clear in his voice. The organizing committee decided to make things more interesting. Winning team gets $35,000 plus an automatic entry into the Battle Royale event at the end of the year. That's why finding our 9th player is so crucial. Mike scratched his tusks thoughtfully. No wonder the registration filled up so quickly. Everyone wants that Battle Royale spot. It's usually restricted to the top 1% of players. Last year, only the regional winners clan could fight in the Battle Royal. This could change everything, Sarah added, still holding the new armor Andrew had given her. The $35,000 prize alone sounds nice, and that Battle Royale invitation, that's an opportunity we can't pass up. Which is exactly why we need to find our 9th player by tomorrow's deadline, Kai reminded them, looking up from his spellbook. Luna, a friend of mine, might be our best option, despite her busy streaming schedule. A chance at both the gold prize and Battle Royale entry might convince her to make time. Daisuke nodded in agreement, then suddenly remembered something important. Oh, before I forget. The dodgeball tournament registration requires proof of our team's average level. We'll need to run those numbers before tomorrow's deadline. Just then, the announcement loud and clear. Epic announcer voice, calling all warriors of Sojourn. Do you have what it takes to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dominate? The land of Sojourn presents the ultimate test of skill and agility. The November monthly Community Fay Dodgeball Championship. That's right, champions. Leave your armor and weapons behind, because this battle requires nothing but raw talent and quick reflexes. With an epic prize pool of $35,000, glory awaits in Southern California. Gather your finest squad of 9 warriors, regardless of clan allegiance, and prepare for an adrenaline-pumping showdown. Every team will face 4 to 5 rounds of intense competition, with the greatest among you advancing to the legendary 6th round to claim the title of So Dodgeball Champion 2024. What's at stake? $35,000 in prizes, eternal glory, the prestigious title of SO Dodgeball Champion 2024, access to end-of-year Battle Royal, the details, teams of 9 players, no armor or weapons, all-day Saturday event. Multiple rounds of heart-pounding action. Don't miss your chance to make history. Sign-ups close in 2 weeks, so rally your team now. Whispers dramatically. The land of Sojourn, where legends are made and dodgeballs are thrown. Register today and prepare for the battle of a lifetime. May the best team dodge their way to victory. Standard disclaimer voice. All clans welcome. No refunds on face shots. Management not responsible for bruised egos. They listen to the promo again. Sojourn Regional Dodgeball Championship, where legends are made and glory awaits. This year's grand prize, $35,000 plus an exclusive invitation to the end-of-year Battle Royale. Don't miss your chance to make history. I don't know, guys, Sarah said, hugging her knees to her chest. Did you see those players? They looked pretty hardcore. Mike nodded in agreement. Yeah, some of those teams train year-round for this. We'd be going up against semi-pros. Come on, Daisuke encouraged. We've faced tougher challenges. Remember that dragon raid last month? That was different, Jessica interjected. PvP is a whole other level of stress. Plus, we'd be putting ourselves out there in front of everyone. Kyle slouched in his chair. And if we mess up, it'll be all over the forums by nightfall. Listen, Daisuke said firmly. I believe in this team. We've got skills that most players can only dream of. Sure, it'll be challenging, but isn't that what makes it worth doing? After a moment of contemplative silence, Daisuke cleared his throat again. By the way, I've registered us all and our team name as Red. The response was immediate and dramatic. Ah! Jessica made an exaggerated gagging noise, clutching her throat. Mike pretended to keel over in his chair. That's the best you could come up with. Fake retching sounds. I think I just threw up in my mouth a little, Sarah groaned, dramatically fanning herself. Bleehee, Kyle added, sticking out his tongue and pretending to wipe his mouth. Daisuke crossed his arms defensively. Hey, it's simple and memorable. Dude, stop it with the name Red already, gagged Kyle. After the theatrical displays of disgust subsided, Andrew leaned forward. Speaking of the team, we still need our 9th player. Has anyone thought about potential recruits? The group fell into contemplative silence, considering their options. What about Christine? Andrew suggested hesitantly. The reaction was mixed, mostly uncertain looks and raised eyebrows. Oh, Andrew's crush? Mike frowned. I don't know, man. She's kind of hot. Sarah shifted uncomfortably. Plus, we've never seen her in PvP situations. Dodgeball requires quick reflexes and aggressive plays. I also want to point out that me and Jessica are hot, too. True, Andrew acknowledged, but we want someone local, and she plays. I could talk to her, at least see if she's interested. Jessica and Kyle exchanged skeptical glances. Look, Andrew continued more earnestly now, we need someone we can trust, someone who understands teamwork and looks cute also. Sarah and Jessica pulled his pillows off the bed and began pelting Andrew. Hey, that hurts, he said as he began to defend himself with a large pillow. Kyle nodded slowly, warming to the idea. He has a point. We need some local. And do you think she is even interested? Kai and Mike both said out loud, So are we doing this? Kyle was the first to say, okay, a show of thumbs up for yes and thumbs down for no. Slowly, everyone raised their thumbs up, with Sarah being the last. All right, Kyle finally conceded. Talk to her, but make sure she understands what she's getting into. This tournament is going to be intense. Wow, said Kyle. It looks like we're doing this. Daisuke ended the entire conversation with a simple phrase, We're not doing this, we're winning this.
Stay tuned for next week's episode, A Walk in the Park.